It is not enough to wish for a better world for the children. It is not enough to shield them with ease and comfort. Lestari Yil, if we do not sacrifice our own ease, our own comfort, to make the future's world a better one, then we curse our own children. We leave them with the misery they do not deserve. We leave them with a host of lessons unearned. Alright, fantasy fans, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and I just want to say thank everyone for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing my videos. It's helped me a lot in trying to grow this channel. And today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to do a series of character video essays, specifically starting out with my favorite series of all time, Malazan Book of the Fallen. And today I want to do a deep dive into the character of Tavore, the selfless, compassionate, seemingly cold daughter of the Paran house. All right, so I took notes. I apologize for I could not memorize my script for this essay, but here it goes. So Tavore Paran is the second child of the affluent Paran family, and the first time we get a glimpse of her is in Gardens of the Moon. While Ganos, whom we met in the prologue, is enamored at the idea of war and goes off to seek his glory, Tavore is left as the sole caretaker of the Paran household. In this scene, because we are seeing the events through Ganos' eyes, Tavore is given an almost cold, uncaring feeling to her, a sentiment that is echoed in their youngest sister Felison's perception of Tavore. In Deadhouse Gates, where we see this perception, Tavore is elevated to the position as adjunct following the death of Lorne at the hands of the Eel of Darujistan and the Crimson Guard, suffering mortal wounds from Guardsman Blues. Tavore serves Empress Lysine in her culling of the nobility. Erikson cleverly deceives the reader using Felison's point of view to highlight the severity of Tavore's betrayal of her kin. Unbeknownst to Felison and the reader, that Tavore's kinship to Felison is what had her thrown in the Atatarol mines with Bodine the Talon as a guardian, instead of her being outright executed, like many of the nobles. Though Tavore does not appear in Memories of Ice, the reader is given Ganos' thoughts on her betrayal of the family and his despairing at the harsh fate of Felison in the mines. We are also given foreshadowing that Tavore may pay for the way she handled the culling of the nobility. In House of Chains, we get the perspective of many characters in the Malaz 14th Army, an army dispatched to 7 cities with the goal of quelling Shaik's rebellion. There is much talk in this book about if Tavore is qualified to lead this army, and in a normal fantasy series, the author might have exaggerated her achievements in this book. Instead, Erikson kind of leans into these doubts. In contrast to Coltane's impressive show of leadership and battle prowess in The Chain of Dogs, aside from some skirmishes, Tavore doesn't get that same chance to show her leadership or tactical skills. Due to infighting, the rebellion of the Whirlwind Goddess collapses on itself. Felison challenges her sister to combat, but because she is completely armored, Tavore is not aware she is doing battle with her own sister. Some believe that Tavore was aware that she was fighting Felison, but if there is evidence of this in the book, I must have glossed over it. Let me know in the comments if you finished the series, if that was the case. I read it as her not being aware of Felison, but I'm open to other interpretations or clues that other readers have gleaned from House of Chains and subsequent entries in the series. Pearl and Lestari Yil arrive in time to see Tavore kill her sister. They, having discovered that Felison was Shaik reborn, refrain from sharing this information with the adjunct. Now, we return to Tavore and the Malaz 14th Army in the Bone Hunters. In this explosive 6th novel of the series, we get the Battle of Yagatan, and that's where we see the 14th Army become the titular Bone Hunters. Leomin evades the battle, and the Bone Hunters suffer many losses, but the army still makes it through the conflict. Throughout this novel, we see Tavore seek guidance from Nil and Nether, the Wiccan mages, and Fist Keneb, the adoptive father of Grub, which this is something I wanted to ask Malazan fans about. I thought that Grub was the reincarnation of Coltane, following when the Ravens, devoured his corpse at the end of Deadhouse Gates. But I've also seen that Grub's age doesn't line up. So if anybody had similar thoughts or knows the answer to this, please let me know down in the comments below. When the 14th returned to Malaz City to find the Empress siding with the likes of Corbolo Dom and Malik Rail and betraying the trust of the Wiccans, Tavore realizes she must leave the Empire. Tavore never betrayed her empress, and she sacrificed so much, and still it was not enough for the Malazan Empire. In leaving Malaz City, thanks to the efforts of Kalam Makar, Tavore escapes with her life, but her lover Tambur was killed. Note: Tambur was the goddess or the mortal vessel of the goddess of the Eris Erisol. Tavore and her army, now a vagabond military group, this is in Reaper's Gale. Tavore and her army, now a vagabond military group following the events of the Bone Hunters, are swept up in a plot to liberate the Lithiri from the Tisti Eater. Liberate. Because if you've read Reaper's Gale, you know that the Lithiri were kind of more the perpetrators of their own, but under the face of the Tisti Eater. The final story in the Malazan Book of the Fallen centers on Tavore's army, and though Dust of Dreams and The Crippled God were released as separate novels, they tell one cohesive story. After the Bone Hunters engage in a battle with the K'chain Naruk, this is at the end of Dust of Dreams, Tavore tells the army her goal. She aims to free the Crippled God, the main-ish antagonist of the entire Book of the Fallen, the character we as the readers are led to believe is irredeemable. When Tavore became one of my all-time favorite characters is when she became one of my all-time favorite characters is when she marches her army across the glass desert. As the army begins to die of thirst and all hope seems lost, some of the army begins to doubt Tavore, claiming she is a poor leader and a madwoman that doomed them to die in a desert for nothing. The Snake, an ever-marching group of children fleeing the brutality of the folk rule assail, are then intercepted by the Bone Hunters when the army was already low on water. This Blistig, believing that she was hiding water for the children, attacks other members of the army. Then, using a dagger blessed by Mael, Tavore draws her own blood to bless them with water. At the most hopeless hour, Tavore asks them in that moment, "Haven't you drunk enough?" She who had given her blood and sweat to the Empire. I believe this is in reference to her family, her blood that died for the Empire and for the world, and now her army is asking more and more of that same blood. In her final speech to the infantry before they attacked in an attempt to give Fiddler more time to free the crippled god, we are shown that Tavore knew the names of the lowest soldiers that thought themselves forgotten. In the final battle, Ganos is reunited with his sister and they fall to the ground in an embrace, and Tavore's final words are, "I lost her, Ganos," and the two siblings lament the loss of their younger sister. In conclusion, Tavore is a character that Erikson cleverly kept ever distant from the POVs allowed to the reader. Tavore is a character I found detestable in Book 1 for her cold and iron-hard lack of emotion, and she is the same character that I ended up loving for her compassion, selflessness, and her quiet resiliency in the face of oblivion. When all hope was lost, Tavore Paran saved the world, not for glory, but because her tactical genius was only matched by her bottomless compassion and selflessness. As I get more practice at this, I do want to do a character essay on Fiddler, Quickben, Kalam. If there are any Malazan fans out there watching this, let me know if that is something you're interested in seeing. If I see, in the comments, or if I see people like this, if I see love for this type of video essay, I definitely want to go on and do video essays of countless Malazan characters. I also really want to do Karsa Orlong. Animander Rake is obviously one that's up there, but I also want to go a little bit further and do some video essays on some of the Karkanis trilogy characters, because Karkanis to me is the closest Erikson has come to the Book of the Fallen in terms of quality. Sometimes I even think Karkanis is better, but yeah, so that's my quick video essay on my favorite of the Prawn House from Malazan Book of the Fallen, Tavore. Peace!